and a double dumbass on you too. Let's talk about this, folks. What we have here, we have the bus scene from Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. We have Kirk and Spock. Admiral Kirk still at this point. He hasn't been demoted yet, and Spock is pointing out to him and questioning why, since arriving in the past in 1980s San Francisco Bay Area, why his speech has become laced with, as he puts it, colorful metaphors, which is to say, a speech pattern and words and terms that he is unfamiliar with. And let's think about how old Spock is, how long he's been around at this time, how long he's known Kirk. Apparently, he's known Kirk before he was captain of the Enterprise, even. Okay, let's think about that. And so, this is the standard. This is what has been established, that basically in the TOS era, people, humans, the people of the Federation, are not potty mouths. They don't use vulgarity. They're not speaking with filth, flar, and filth, flar, and filth. They're not, using the four-letter words, and so on. Okay. This carries through to the TNG era, Next Generation. Can you imagine Picard saying things like this? Geordi? Data? Riker? Of course, there's some naughty equivalents that Worf might say in Klingon, and some other characters when interacting with Klingons, they'll have their insults, but is it really like the colorful metaphors that we're talking about in, 1980s Earth speak? Probably not. Even Deep Space Nine, Voyager, nope, not a thing. But then we jump ahead to the days of Star Trek Picard, when we've got, the Admiral cursing him out, using such foul language. Very interesting. When did this happen? When did this language come back in vogue? Even Star Trek Prodigy, which is more or less an unofficial sequel to Voyager. There's no one using language like that. But, even Enterprise, 100 years before Kirk and Spock and the TOS era. Archer, T'Pol, Hoshi, with all her linguistic knowledge, you don't hear anybody saying things like this. But then we have Discovery, F-bombs, S-bombs, things of that nature, all kinds of profanity. Very interesting. And, even in Strange New Worlds, it carries over. Very interesting. So when did this happen? How can this be explained from, our characters, our beloved characters, not being familiar with this type of language because nobody uses it, to apparently it's, I'm not going to say commonplace, but when you have Captain Pike in the second season of Discovery saying shit show, and you have characters in the the first season of Discovery saying how fucking cool things are, and F-bomb this and S that, and who knows, and it's just an interesting thing. So my question is, who can explain this? What is the explanation for these verbal discrepancies between what we've seen throughout all of Trekdom until shows that are produced recently? I'm sure that the people that write and produce these shows have had access to the library. I mean, even of course in TAS, Star Trek the Animated Series, there's definitely no characters saying things like this. But here we are in Discovery and Strange New Worlds. We're within a 10-year period before what we see in the original series, and yet we have people that apparently, Spock knew Captain Pike for quite some time. And if Pike speaks this way, and how is it that Spock is just unfamiliar with this? What is the true explanation? What are your theories, folks? Give me some ideas. Drop them in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. And not only that, but it begs the bigger question. Is there a place for such language in Star Trek? Is this consistent with what Gene Roddenberry had in mind? Do you think that he envisioned a future for humanity where we're supposed to have risen above pettiness and minor differences between one another and still have, language of this sort? I don't think so. But what do you guys think? All right, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.